Ladies and gentlemen, here's the motherfucking tea.
Hello and welcome back to another My Hero Academia Reviews. I'm...
Hee
Hee indeed. I'm your host, Scott. That's a Grant. Say hi, Grant.
Hello, that's me. I heed.
And that's Lanny.
Hello.
And this week, we're talking about episode 21, Revival Party, which I found to be kind of an interesting name. I actually
Considering
also,
how many of them died.
Yeah. I also went out of my way to change. I originally had A Bloody Good Time as the title of the stream, but right before this, I changed it to Toga Party because why wouldn't I? Duh.
Yeah.
So this week it's mostly about Toga. Oh damn, what's her full name? It's
Himiko.
Yeah. And she's getting pretty fucked up this week. It was a rough week for this girl. Rough week.
Yes, but through the adversity, her perseverance kind of pays off. She clearly gets a bit of a buff after this, which will make her a much more threatening enemy to face.
Yeah,
we're starting to see everybody get their buffs. We see her get her boost. We start to see Shigaraki kind of get like even more terrifying.
I do like that. Yes, in fact, this week is the week of power-ups. Everyone's pushed to the brink, and now their stands are evolving. I mean, their meta powers are evolving. I mean, their quirks are evolving.
I can't wait to see. I can't wait to see what Twice does next week. But
he has become thrice.
Yeah, now he is thrice. But yeah, we're here to talk about Toga this week. She's she had an episode. I wasn't expecting her to. It's funny. She's one of those characters that she showed up. She had that creepy yandere thing going. And it's like, okay, I think I understand everything there is to know. I didn't think that I needed to hear her backstory, and then I heard it, and I'm like, no, that's about right.
Yeah, like it's not that it wasn't interesting, but I guess when her backstory happened, it was kind of like, this is basically almost exactly what I figured kind of happened. Maybe not so much her drinking a student's blood with a literal straw, but just it was like she probably did some sort of blood freak out and then was just like a pariah and disappeared.
And as it turns out, you're not. It's very off the mark, actually. Like, not 100%. There was a little bit more to it, but yeah. Turns out she got a little bit blood hungry and kind of vampired some people and animals, and
yeah, her just eating that little bird was a very odd visual there.
Not even eating the bird, just sucking out its blood.
Yeah.
Which is like in the entire series so far, that is easily 100% the grossest thing I've seen in this. Like, that gave me both
just a cleanliness issue with the diseases that would be on.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like heebies and jeebies.
Do you think she was molting feathers that night?
Oh, interesting.
Like just early on in her quirk adaptability, like, can she turn into animals or do they have to be humans?
We're going to have another revival party to figure that one out.
Yeah, I'm assuming that it is only people with the way that her quirk works. Although the way her quirk works, as we see, evolves over the course of the fight, which was fascinating. We're also introduced to... Oh gosh, what was her name? I think she said her
Curious?
name. Curious.
That's her hero or villain name.
I can't remember her actual name, but Chitose Kizuki, who is a blue reporter, and she's a representative of
bringing you blue news on a blue afternoon.
Yes, and she is a representative of the Meta Liberation Army, and she's a real fun antagonist in this one because her entire point is that she's trying to interview I'm just gonna call her Toga, Himiko. Yeah, Himiko the entire time, and it's rough going. It's really interesting too because like, oh, she's a reporter, but her quirk is landmines. Don't ask. It's not a thematic through line. It doesn't need to be. It's fine.
It makes wartime reporting way more interesting.
She's covered wars,
Yeah. It actually kind of made me wonder, because basically the entire first half of this episode was, the wiki drop for the Meta Liberation Army.
Yeah. I did want to bring up that we do, before we jump a lot into the Toga stuff, we do get kind of some background on what the Liberation Army was. Now it's just like, yeah, when people first started getting quirks, and now we live by this system of like, you can't legally really use your quirk until you've properly trained with it. Before then, there were people who like kind of like, I know these are the villains, but there's a layer of me that's like, no, I could absolutely see the argument. Like, no, these are our powers. This is a natural born right. I have to use it. Like, and it's just like this, but that's going to get crazy so fast.
Yeah,
you guys don't understand.
Survival of the fittest mentality.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder how the other countries around the world have adapted to it. Like, what is hero society like in Russia or America? Because just the way things work, we don't hear anything about actual wars going on, because I'm guessing the world is still adapting to the fact that there are superhumans among them. But
do we have an established time frame when quirks appeared? I feel like
it's been at least what, 7 generations due to All for One or One for All. But
7 generations, but like not really, because
like some mentors may have gone faster than others. Basically.
Yeah, and it's in fact like so far it's actually sort of implied that they don't really live to old age.
Yeah. So maybe about 50 to 60 years, maybe 70 years if you're giving like a decade per All for One user. I don't know. But it did make me wonder, around the world, are there more people like the freaky doctor that's experimenting on Nomus, just trying to create crazy super soldiers for different various governments?
Yeah, there's probably a couple of them all over the world, right?
Yeah,
I mean, like, hey, we could try and get some illegal plutonium, or this guy just made a kind of a garage band All Might. Do we want to use that and see if it works as a weapon?
I want to meet the guy who can just make plutonium. The guy who can just make these substances that are like really, really valuable and also really, really dangerous.
We've got these plutonium dealers, but we've also got a dude whose quirk is everything he touches turns into plutonium. Why don't we just hire him?
Yeah, just somebody whose quirk is, you're just a guy from Full Metal Alchemist. That's your quirk. It made me wonder about like the world as a whole, because all we ever get is Japan. We know that America exists still somehow, because All Might lived there, but it's just so bizarre. Like what are the rules like in the other countries when it comes to hero society?
In Soviet Russia, hero power saves you. I don't know. I dropped it there at the end.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
It's all good.
But yeah,
move on.
It is sort of really curious. I would actually really like to see that, because when it comes to the other countries, yeah, the only glimpses we've ever seen, like the only time we've even seen America in the entire series was in that movie. I think we are going to see more of the worldwide stuff in the next movie, though. Like they are kind of.
Yeah, it's Muppets Most Wanted with Deku. So
yeah. I'm very curious to see that. It's like really interesting because I don't necessarily mind at all. Apparently I need to read Vigilantes, by the way. Oh, something I didn't touch on last week. Vigilantes actually covered our Cloud Boy in depth.
Okay.
And yeah, so if for those of you who are not last week, a couple weeks ago, Cloud Dude, Aizawa and President Mike's friend, if you ever want to find out more about him, check out the Vigilantes manga. He has an entire several chapters dedicated to him.
Is that like a spin-off manga or just like a supplement manga?
It's a spin-off manga about a bunch of vigilantes who one dude who doesn't even have a quirk. He's just Batman mixed with the Punisher.
See, those are the guys I want to see.
You would trust me, you would fucking love him.
I probably would because I love Rock Lee. I'm down for that.
Think Rock Lee, think more the Punisher. He's a fucking brute too. He's a goddamn. Yeah, I think you'd really like him. But in the next movie, we will be going to America, and I'm sort of interested in that because like a lot of stuff we haven't covered, a lot of different cultural things. I don't really mind the fact that My Hero Academia is focused on Japan. A lot of American cartoons are like, no, we're just gonna focus on America.
It's weird. It's weirder when they do try to focus on America, because then they're trying to do cultural things, but it doesn't quite work. Like when they did the some of those Marvel anime, and it's like some of it just didn't quite pan out the way that like didn't quite translate right.
I was actually a really big fan of The Great Pretender. That is one of my favorite anime that takes place primarily in America. Like, oh, okay, the opening arc does. Like, the opening arc is like a long American arc, and it's really, really good. Anyway, we're talking about My Hero Academia, though. So yeah, this was a brutal fight, by the way, and I'm all like, this is the kind of shit I was really looking forward to in this arc. The fights are really brutal because these aren't heroes versus villains. These are villains versus villains.
Yeah,
and
everyone's just kind of cool icing the person they're fighting and not containing or disabling.
Except for Spinner. Spinner's still like, I don't want to kill nobody. And it's like, oh,
Wait,
Spinner.
well, what's funny is it sounds like he's pretending he's killing them, but it's other people noticing he isn't, because he was like, we keep killing them and they keep coming back. And Tommy's like, you haven't killed anybody yet.
I think it's more that Spinner is just so completely out of his depth. Like, I don't think he's been able to kill anyone.
I wonder about that. But Spinner's entire thing so far has been he wants to be like Stain, and he was hoping that he would get like the worst part about Spinner is that he is currently in a place where he is completely and 100% in the wrong environment now. He thought he was in the right place where he would get the things that he wanted, but now he's just in too deep to get out. And I'm looking forward to possibly one day Spinner turns code. Like, I'm really hoping that happens, because he doesn't belong here. It's obvious he doesn't.
Spinner's also a character I feel like we really don't know a whole lot about, other than he was just like way into Stain when he showed up. But it's like I mean, I know he's got lizard skin and stuff, but like, do blades have anything to do with his quirk? Do we know what his quirk is outside of looking like a lizard?
He's just really good at spinning.
Like,
That's why he holds a sword.
Yeah,
Yes.
Hold on. Spinner quirk. I think it's
like
just
being a lizard, and it's just like, and he's like, well, I like Stain, so I'm gonna use blades.
Oh, yeah,
And
his quirk is literally just Gecko. He's basically a male version of what they did with Tsuyu.
A worse version of Tsuyu.
Well, okay,
they just wanted
Less
to make their,
amphibianness.
they just wanted to make their Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle allegory a little bit closer to the mark than they did with Stain. So
yeah. The reason I say the male version of Tsuyu is because don't worry, the guys can look entirely like animals. We got to make sure that Tsuyu looks mostly human. So
There's gotta be some cutie in there.
Yeah, so all the fan art can come in.
Yep.
Although that doesn't necessarily stop them. There are characters later that are like, nope, they're full on aminals.
Real quick before we get deeper into the fight, before it all starts and like they kind of like have their little standoff initially, there was this guy who comes up and they're like, wait a minute, you represent the Hearts and Minds Party. Now, I have heard that name before. I don't know what, like, I felt kind of like, I think Twice was the one who was like, is that important? Like, should we know that? Because I know I have heard that term. I have no idea what that's supposed to mean.
I think that's just another party. I think the idea is that what they're
just
implying
a popular political party.
Yeah,
or something?
I think it's supposed to be like a grassroots political party that's like, we want to win over the hearts and minds of the people. So
gotcha. I didn't know if it was like some company that like did something that I was supposed to be aware of.
I think he's essentially PR for the Liberation Army.
Okay.
Yeah. And essentially, I think his presence there and the fact that they point that out is largely supposed to imply that the Meta Liberation Army has been absorbing other political parties with their ideology and their strength. So,
this is just showing that they've got weight to throw around, basically.
Yeah. And so it's also it's kind of funny when the battle starts. They're like, "Wow, they really do have 100,000 people," but it's like there's just a crowd here. It's just
yeah, like they made mention like this entire city is just full of these, like 90% of this city are these people. I'm like, okay, so the collateral won't matter. Gotcha. Well, no, 10% of the collateral will matter.
But we're villains and we don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically. And it's I understand like, hey, we're trying to communicate like there's this big army. I do think like so we're supposed to kind of I know that we're waiting for Gigantomachia to come in. But it's like, wow, 100,000 people against one group of like, what was it, 6?
I mean, at that point, you're getting like too many cooks kind of a situation where it's just you're going to be stepping on top of each other trying to get to these guys.
I mean,
so
a bunch of them
really
turned themselves into suicide bombers. So
yeah, true.
Yeah, that was pretty fucking scary, by the way.
Which, man, like, this is for our revival party that you're doing this. Like, this isn't even for, like, the big, like, takeover action. This is just, we're going to stomp out a small, seemingly insignificant force in our way.
Well, I think that is a rather firm acknowledgement, by the way, of like, oh yeah, I know you guys are small time, and we're gonna take you up, but at the same time, we're gonna use like every single
bringing everybody
person.
to this
Yeah, we're
party.
bringing like everybody just to crush you. Which, man, if you're the fucking villains, if you're these guys. Aren't you flattered as fuck? Like, oh my god, you brought these many people? Oh my god.
If I'm Shigaraki, I'm probably too tired to give a shit. So.
Which, yeah, Shigaraki in this one was like, man, I'm so fucking sleepy.
His description of being sleepy is something I have definitely felt before, where he's like, you're seeing stuff that ain't there, and you're hearing things because your brain is just bombarded with unnecessary details.
Yeah, like,
I'm just gonna dust these people and move on. Where's the challenge?
Yeah, and yes, we also see that, he doesn't have to be directly touching them now. That's scary.
Disintegration aura field, I'm guessing. Something within a certain distance.
I think it's like if anybody is touching, like, I think they were all kind of crowded
touching
together.
A thing that
each
he is
other.
Touching.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that's kind of what happens there, is that he, like, since they're all so close to each other / touching each other, it spreads. Which, again,
you gotta socially distance when you're fighting the league. Mm-hmm. Come on, you can't be so close.
Be like Toga. Wear your mask.
Mm-hmm. I don't think that'll help with the disintegration, but hey, it's good advice regardless.
It was that's a lot of death in this one. Very, very, very holy shit.
Yeah, you got Dobby burning people left and right.
I like how Dobby is like, no, oh, thank God. Do you know how hard it is to not kill people with this quirk?
Oh, good. The boss is killing people. That means I got free reign. Whatcha! Just starts smoking people, and Shigaraki's disintegrating them, and Toga's just like stabbing, like Toga's doing her thing, stabbing people, and just trying to survive all the landmines that were placed about.
Which I like how the narrator had to be like, they're not very deadly. By the way.
Yeah, they're not incredibly deadly, but she can put down a lot of them.
Yeah.
Makes up for it in numbers.
Yeah. Which I don't know. Look, I understand that it's about spectacle over practicality, but any one of those explosions would be able to would have killed a normal person.
Well,
or at least put them down.
The blood she was drinking exploded. I feel like even if
in
it
her
was
throat.
Yeah, even if it was an incredibly minor explosion that was in her insides now. Like that's
it's
air bubbles are lethal at that range.
I feel like I'm gonna die when I hiccup and burp at the same time.
Yeah.
I can only imagine if it exploded.
Yeah, it's a lot. We're really, really suspending our disbelief here. But man, it's very cool to watch.
Yeah,
it's very tough though.
Her new coat must add like +3 defense or something. Like that's got to be what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank God we established that she got that coat.
Shigaraki works in video game terms, so of course the armor he'd give his friends would have stat ups attached.
Do you think Shigaraki sees the world the way like Ichiban from like the new Yakuza game sees the world, where everything's just a JRPG? And like everything is just very bombastic, so like he has these like hallucinations about it.
I'd like to think that he doesn't quite see that, but he's always imagining it. It's less of a full-on hallucination, but more of a constant like thing that he's thinking about.
I mean, if we want to get into armchair psychology, he's a sociopath, and he just views the world as a video game, and just like he is disconnected to it, and it's just everything to him is just entertainment to be destroyed.
I mean,
and his friends are his favorite NPCs.
Yeah, and this is my party, so obviously I want to keep them fed and leveled up.
I'll never kill you, Garrus.
Yeah, no, that's actually a pretty good way to like. Yes, he obviously is so disconnected from reality that he needs something to connect him to people and kind of the reality around him, and so that's what he uses.
So throughout this episode, this is basically a big Toga flashback episode trying to like establish where she's been, what made her do what she did. And it all just kind of boils down to the fact that due to her quirk, she was really fascinated with blood, and that made her creepy to a bunch of people. So she tried to hide it, but then it kind of boiled over and she drank the guy she likes blood.
Yeah. Which I love the fact that she uses a fucking straw.
Yeah.
She's just done that.
Sip, sip, sip. And then I think the most profound part of that to me is just like when she's asking, like, I'm just trying to live a normal life. Normal for me is very different, though.
Yeah.
It
When I drink someone's blood, it's like how you feel when you kiss somebody. It's just how I express myself to them.
I do find it interesting because when she's being talked to by Chitose, she's like, "Oh, how unfortunate for you." And meanwhile, Toga this entire time likes what the Meta Liberation Army is about because in their world, she would be able to live her normal life because the new normal is basically, well, kind of what everyone wants. It's chaos, essentially.
It's funny because, like, yeah, they're preaching anarchy, but once they actually take over, do you think that they'd actually abide by somebody like Toga running around slashing people up and drinking blood? I think some form of law would have to apply at some point.
Well, and there's no way Destro isn't leading this whole thing without some idea of like, and I'm gonna be at the top.
Yeah.
like he was already like when Shigaraki was kind of like when he was kind of inviting him into the group, he was like, but I'm in charge. You got to understand me, numero uno. That's how this is gonna work. So that's where a classic power corrupting, no matter how good your intentions might sound.
Yeah, but that's where the that's where the whole like leap in logic came for me. It's like, okay, so yeah, they want everybody to be able to express themselves through their quirks however they want. Cool, but Toga is a serial killer. Like, essentially, she will be and has been. That doesn't have a place in any society, really. Like, so even when the Liberation Army wins, she would still be on the outs with them, which is why it's so weird to me that since we saw this out of order, we know she ends up with them in some capacity. That I'm like, I don't understand where that overlap is.
Yeah, it's a lot. It is also really interesting though, because when it's like she's on board with the idea of a society where everyone can use their quirks, but the moment she's talked down to, the moment she's treated like, oh, how unfortunate for your life, she's like, I'm not fucking unfortunate. I'm me.
Don't you talk about me that way?
Yeah, fuck you. Which I actually have I found that really interesting. Also, if people saw the thumbnail for this one, some spectacular expressions from Himiko in this one. Just the fucking smiles / grins / whatever the fuck those facial expressions are supposed to be are pretty terrifying, actually.
Yeah, the one right before her big reveal of, drinking Ochako's blood and becoming her and then realizing, oh shit, I can use their quirks now because, I've gotten stronger. Maybe this was like my little leap through. This is my I'm about to die and I need to do something moment. And we get to see how deadly Ochako's power can be when she throws everybody high into the sky and just lets them plummet to their death, and you just see these big splashes of blood.
So, fun fact about that scene, by the way, but fucking great scene, by the way. Like, holy shit, that's terrible. Like the fact that she's like, I like how she uses Ochako's quirk as a way to kill people, unlike Ochako, who literally only uses it to save people most of the time. Either that or to attack with weapons. Yeah, she kills a bunch of people with it, which is like, oh, I love dark uses of powers we only ever see used for good. That's great. But another thing about that scene, so the animator for it actually put up their full version of it. It was originally way more animated. Like,
oh, really?
Yeah, exceptionally more. Like, if you take a look at it, it's almost like it's a completely different scene in a lot of ways.
Huh.
What I am assuming happened was the director got the rough and decided, hey, this is actually a little bit too expressive for the scene that we're currently trying to portray.
It looks too good for this part.
A little bit. It was too expressive. And it's also entirely possible that when they got this cut from the animator, they didn't have time to color it all in, do the compositing, do all of the in-betweens that were necessary. It's very possibly a scheduling issue as well. So... Right. It's just very interesting that what we saw was actually, like, the rough looks way more impressive than the final product, which is sad. It is really sad because, and I'll post it in the chat, don't worry. I know a lot of people are asking to see it, and I'll post it in here. But yeah, it was exceptionally cool looking, and we didn't get it. Which I don't like to spend too much time shitting on stuff like, oh, this is what we didn't get. But that was kind of kind of a rough one. If you guys want to take a
make sure to post it in the description of the video too, of the VOD of this.
Can do. But yeah, it was a really cool looking scene. What we still got was cool. I actually still really like the scene that we got, especially because I just love the expressions on Toga here. I love the expressions.
Yeah.
I love the movement. I love
and that whole chunk at the end where it's like literally her face ripped in half, like, you know, the face off poster where it's Ochako on one side, her face on the other side. She just looks so happy.
I know you can customize people's costumes in the friggin' My Hero video game, but like there's got to be alt costume of Ochako wearing Toga's stuff.
I do. Actually, you know what? I've never played those games. I do wonder, can you even use Himiko? Like Himiko's full on. I wonder what she does.
Yes, because that's how I learned what her power was before it was revealed in the anime. Because I played the game and she could turn into people, and I was like, "Wait, this is a thing she could do."
Don't you love that in the video games, like in Naruto, where you like get these characters way before they're introduced in the anime and stuff?
You think that's bad? Like the original Naruto games, the Naruto XL games for the PlayStation 2. Spoiled massive shit for the anime. Like,
oh yeah,
it was insane.
Ninja Storm 2 or 3, one of them makes up an ending because it got past where the manga was. It was just like, all right.
And then there's something out here.
Then there's this big showdown with Obito, Naruto, and all the tailed beasts at once, and it's this crazy fight. And I was like, this is gonna be cool to see in the anime. Never happened.
Yeah,
but it was fun to play.
But
I feel like there was a flashback at some point for Toga where I know we see the flashback of her drinking the kid's blood, and I know she talks about Izuku when she turns into Ochako, but I feel like there's a moment where we see like a flashback of her childhood. Was she at like the same middle school or something as Deku? Was that like a
I don't think so.
That did
because I thought we saw a kid who looked just like Deku and she was talking about like my classmates da 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 da.
He was punching somebody in that scene. Definitely wasn't Deku.
Okay.
Just
didn't know if he was standing up to someone who was being bullied or something.
Yeah, no, that was remarkably like that was
Look,
remarkably
you only
like
have
Deku,
so many character models. So
yeah, I mean, yes, but it just like that really threw me, and I was like, "Is this some kind of reveal? Was she a classmate at some point?"
Yeah, no.
But okay,
also
because that would have also filled in for me why she seems like she has such an obsession with Deku, other than just he's a cool kid who jumps into danger.
Yeah,
I think they explained that fairly early when, like, you know, she first saw him. He's all like bleeding on the ground. It's like, oh, I love seeing the defeated.
I love a
look
boy
on
who will
people.
bleed for me.
Yeah, she's also like 2 years older than him. So, but yeah, it's She was one of those characters at first where I wasn't all that into her because I don't really love the psychotic yandere type, which is kind of what she is. She's the psychotic, bloodthirsty yandere, which I mean that can be really good. It's just sometimes I feel like it's overdone a lot.
Like I said, I didn't really need the backstory. It's like, yeah, okay, about what I expected.
I do like the way that they go over it is the part that I like. It's not necessarily the backstory itself that's all that interesting. It's the whole framing device of the interview from Chitose, which makes it work so much better to me.
I think my favorite part of the episode, though, overall, was like after all this, when Twice runs off to try to find her. His conversation with himself, I thought was really good. Like just as a general monologue of him, like having an actual like conversation with the various parts of him going back and forth. She's going to die. No, shut up. No, she's not. We're going to go. I actually really like that. Like the performance from the Japanese actor was really good there too.
Yeah. The lines, like, oh man, I didn't know a body could feel this cold. It's so hot. No, it's not. Would you stop talking? How can I? There's so much blood.
I was so worried. I was perfectly calm.
Yeah, like it's just so good.
She's already dead. Just save yourself. No.
Which it is. As I've said before, that and I no pun intended, quirk of his personality could very easily become kind of like overdone and annoying. But no, the way that they've done it so far has always kind of only improved the scene. It's always funny. It always works, and I love this use of it specifically. One where he's actually having a conversation where he's conflicted and scared and frustrated. And it just, you're right.
And then his worst nightmare happens as they didn't do like a really good job of explaining this one dude's quirk. Like he can turn things about the size of people or fridges into puppets. And he apparently has a bunch of Twices that he then sends to fight him.
Which is the absolute worst possible fucking thing. You're right. This is the worst thing that he could possibly do to Twice. Like, holy shit. Considering how he became the person he is today. Wow, that's some trauma. Way to go.
I have a guy who can multiply himself and has an identity crisis. What if?
Yeah. So yeah, that's a terrifying scene. What a horrific thing to do to him. Fucking Twice is fucking tragic, right? Like the way that he came to be and the way that he operates and the people he hangs around with. He's just, and I love the fact that he's like Hawks' friend. Like, or he sees Hawks as a friend though. That's always, it's like, it's nice that there are people within the group that he's like, no, you're my friend and I like you. And he really, really likes Himiko, and now he's freaking out. And you're like, poor motherfucker.
Yeah, she saved him from a panic attack. And it's like, oh.
Yeah. Like, he honestly kind of comes off as this nice guy who's just fucking crazy.
Twice is a guy who probably would have been a hero had just life taken a couple different steps for him, and he didn't have that complete psychotic breakdown when he couldn't figure out which one of him was the real one.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just wanted a bunch of shadow clone slaves to do all the stuff for him, but then the revolt happened. So that's why I'm really looking forward to next episode. I want to see how that plays out, because again, we know he ends up with the Liberation Army in some capacity.
Let's stop talking about that. The more we talk about it, the more...
Can't not address the elephant in the room.
Yeah,
but now I'm left with the question: is it the real him?
Can we just can we Tesla the elephant though? Can we just move past this? Because
Edison the elephant.
Edison,
sir.
yeah, sorry, you're right. Edison the elephant. Oh, I gotta remember that one. That's Edison this elephant.
Yeah, there's alliteration to it.
Yeah. But yeah,
I really like that when we see what's his name, like the scooter hero, and he's like, "Hey guys, come out this way to the city" or something. Spinner immediately goes, "A hero, but not one I recognize." Like, it's just like this. I know you're not a villain. I can tell, but I also don't know who you are.
Yeah, Slide and Go, whose powers apparently just is a segue.
Scoots.
Which
he's like, it's my damn natural right to use this scooter. It's coming from my feet.
Like anybody was trying to stop him.
I also think we did talk about this, but that's Bill Butts, our good friend from LA.
Oh,
in the dub anyway, yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, like anybody's like, do you think he was in do you think Slide and Go had the issue in middle school that I'm sure we all ran into, where you weren't allowed to wear your Heelys, but he was just doing it with his quirk?
That would be really funny. Man,
this little Slide and Go rolling down the schoolyard, which
just
is
trying to look cool, nodding at the girls at their locker. The teacher walks out, no quirking. It's like, that's right. It. I'm breaking this society down.
Bad as he's just scrolling,
dressed in leather and fucking like, yeah,
got the sunglasses on.
Yeah, no, I can imagine it.
Oh my god, I just realized something. Most people growing up with this cartoon have never heard that song.
Bad to the Bone?
I'm pretty
I feel
sure
like
most
it's still used referentially a lot.
I never
and a lot of people show their children Terminator 2. So
as well they fucking should.
Mm-hmm.
I watched Terminator 2 when I was a teenager. It's okay for a teenager. Anything younger than that, it's pretty terrifying.
All I'm saying is that song was old as shit by the time I heard it, so I've got to assume that people younger than me also have.
That's also fair.
It's one of those timeless ones.
It might just be a little bit less of a cultural touchstone than it was for me.
Yeah.
But yeah. So anything else what we want to talk about in this episode?
I think it's really funny that the Meta Liberation League's whole thing, like, I get probably that the L is for liberation. I like that they got the big L on their forehead whenever they come in and greet each other.
Oh, yeah, actually, now that you say
What's
that.
up?
Oh, yeah, we also got a little bit more of a backstory on Destro.
Yeah, he's Re-Destro, the son of
Yes.
Destro.
Redestro, son of Destro. Which, I'm sorry, that is
such a fucking comic book. But yeah, we got that whole wiki drop at the beginning of the episode.
yeah. Which that's okay.
Must have gotten his nose from his mom. It's the only thing I can think of.
Yes, yeah. Oh my god, now I want to see what his mom looks like.
The guy who told the reporter girl that like she couldn't be a good reporter because she didn't have like heart in her stories or something. I thought it was kind of weird and almost fitting that like the boss that was talking down to her had a very Re-Destro looking face.
I think
just
that
like it was.
Was
it
it Re-Destro?
Re-Destro?
That was Re-Destro.
Was that Re-Destro?
Yeah,
okay.
I think that was Redestro.
I wasn't sure if that was like him talking to her
was...
about that versus just this was my life before I joined this, and my boss just looked exactly the same.
No, I think this was her recruitment,
she was talking
actually.
about it in the prospect of like he's the one that gave me direction.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Something.
You're right. Okay.
And I guess the only other thing that's being set up for next episode is Dobby versus Ice Guy, which now I'm reading into that relationship a bit more. I'm starting to wonder if Dobby's another fucking Nomu that was made out of fucking Endeavor's kid or something. So
okay,
or some sort of experiment, but we'll see, because we're gonna see fire versus ice, which is gonna play itself out again later when he has to fight. Yeah, Shoto. So
this episode, now that I think about it, kind of messes with my perspective of the timeline, because Destro reveals that he knows they can't bring Nomu to this fight because he's like, yeah, after these events, I realized that like they don't do stuff with the Nomu, and this absolutely takes place after all of the stuff with Endeavor fighting that Nomu in the city, where Dobby showed up and was already working with Hawks. So I guess I don't know when that all happened. Like, so they started their training fighting Gigantomachia. Like, do we know how long they had been fighting?
It's been
a couple of months. It's
okay.
It's December now.
All right.
Yeah. No, it's been a while.
I thought this was like, we just started fighting Machia. Now they called us. Like,
you do bring up a good point that we know that Dobby is working with Hawks at that point, and that like clearly Dobby wasn't in with the Liberation Army at that point, unless he was. But maybe they have their own thing going on. The web is convoluted and will not be flushed out for a while, I feel.
Yeah, and nope, I'm not going to go down that anymore. But yeah, basically Gigantomachia, like Dobby pieced out, then came back, which that one is just generally like, oh, okay, yeah, that happened linearly as we saw it in the manga too. Yeah. So that's not something that the anime like necessarily fucked with. But we it is due to the fact that we are speeding through this arc. It does like I don't think it very well established just how long they've been fighting Gigantomachia.
Yeah, like I guess I had just forgotten that there was like a cut where it was like they start the fight and then that episode had opened with them being a day in October, and then the cut going, it's December now.
Yeah.
Like, yes, okay. Yeah, I completely forgot that happened, so never mind. Timeline reestablished.
But yeah, beyond that, next episode we get to see what like the fallout with Twice. We get to see a song of Ice and Fire.
Oh.
And I'm very eager to see what how things develop from here. I'm hoping the production staff is able to deliver. I won't lie, this episode was kind of underwhelming in that regard. Like that moment where Shigaraki dusts all those people there's a lot of still frames. And it's like, come on, guys, this is such a big moment, and it feels really undersold. Like, that moment where he just kills all those people is supposed to be holy fucking shit. You're supposed to be floored by that. And here it's just kind of like, that just happened. So
yeah, I feel like if Spinner hadn't said something about it, I would have just been like, oh, okay, this is just like us artistically showing it was like in a blink he touched everybody and they got hit.
Yeah,
but, like, it's Spinner specifically saying like, are my eyes messed up? He didn't touch those people.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing as you is what I was thinking until Spinner spoke. He like I thought it was just gonna be a shot of him like, you know, essentially it's them representing that he's dragging his hand all the way through all of them.
Yeah.
But then it's like, oh, okay, I guess he has an aura to it now or something.
Okay.
Cool.
But yeah. Let's see. Anything else?
Not on my end.
Well,
Other than if you're in the San Antonio area and are going to San Japan this weekend, Kaiser and I would love to see you there.
yes. And anybody who's worried about the pandemic, well, I'll be wearing my N95 mask. We're all vaxxed, and anybody going to the convention either has to have a clear COVID test or proof of vaccination. So things should be all right. If anybody's worried about that, we have gotten some people who are like, "Hey, are you sure that's a good idea?" We're taking all of the precautions necessary. It's also a limited affair. They've limited it to the amount of people who can attend. So we're doing our best to take care. But yeah, you'll be able to see us this weekend at San Japan. And if you live in the northeastern area and are not too far from Connecticut, we'll be at Connecticon next weekend. 2 weeks in a row for conventions is exactly what I...
To back. It's gonna be a time. But we got stuff to show off at them. We love meeting people. If you're feeling safe and you're in the area, come on out.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you all so much for joining us for another week of My Hero Academia reviews. Make sure to take care of yourselves, and in the comments, what should you ask people this time?
What do you think Compress looks like without his mask? We see him a little bit, but he's still always got covering most of his face. What's that dude hiding?
Yeah, I feel like we've never seen his like full face.
Like I feel like last episode where we saw his eyes and mouth was the first time we'd even seen that much.
Oh no, we've definitely seen him without the full mask on before.
Okay, have we? All
yeah. We've definitely seen him. Actually,
his power isn't very offensive. He's having issues.
Yeah, no, he is not in a great place in that regard.
Yeah, he's a support character.
Oh no, we do have a version of him unmasked.
Yeah,
and
he's
oh my gosh, he's handsome. He's a handsome man.
He is anime man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought we saw him without his mask during like the Hisaikai vehicle, like when they were taking out Overhaul.
Hey, people in the comments, what is your quirk? There, that's a solid one. That's
there you go. Yeah.
What's your quirk? Right. And we'll see you guys next Monday for another My Hero Academia reviews. As I said before, take care, be well, and we'll see you later. Bye.